Talking business this morning, right now our inflation is the highest it's been in decades, and it's forcing people to pay more for less. Now, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says he's working to prevent our high inflation from becoming permanent. Part of his plan is to increase interest rates as early as next March. Powell says although that hike would mean higher rates on mortgages and credit cards, it should keep our inflation down.
High inflation imposes significant hardship, especially on those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials, like food, housing, and transportation.
So Powell says long-term changes won't happen overnight. Instead, he says the Fed will continue to evaluate what actions are needed based on how the economy is doing. So where are we on our economy and our business? So joining us with a look at where we stand today is Barbara Riddle, the CEO of Chamberwest here in Utah, as well as we'll talk about one specific issue hitting Utahns right now. Barbara, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Brian. So excited to be here.
Yeah. So how's the health of Utah business right now?
It has been a wild ride. When you think back even as early as 2019, we were dealing with tax reform and what were the changes going to be on business. In the first quarter of 2020, we all know what happened. And at that point, it's like, are we going to survive? Will our employees survive? Will we be here another day?
Well, I didn't think we'd think this would last this long into 2021.
No, we did not. In 2021, we're still dealing with, do I need to force my employees to wear masks? How do I deal with COVID? How do I deal with forcing of immunizations, or working with our employees on whether they're going to get immunized or not, and how does that impact our business?
So we see some of those issues. We feel them, especially if you're shopping, ordering anything, if you're trying to hire people, looking for work, all of those things. What do you think will carry over into 2022?
I'd say 2021, not only COVID and working around COVID, but it's also been a labor shortage and a low unemployment. In addition, so now we're having to market not just to customers for our products, but we're having to market to potential employees to come work for us versus to work for our competitors down the street or work for another business. So our evaluation of our cultures, what makes us stand apart, why are we a better place to work, and how are we going to win the game of attracting customers so we can deliver service and product.
Our hope is that moves and irons itself out quickly. Whether it will or not, that remains to be seen.
I know. And I think business is growing faster than our workforce, right. So let's get going on bringing more workforce.
Right, and one issue that I know that you've been focused on as well is criminals stealing catalytic converters from people's cars. Why is that grabbing your attention?
Oh my gosh, that has been such a huge issue over the past year. So just to give you perspective, in 2018 there were 100 reported catalytic converter thefts. 2019, 118. 2020 during COVID, over 650.
And people are stealing it to be able to get the money out of selling the metal?
Yes. And this year, as of just even the 1st of September, we were almost at 500. So it's impacting business. It's impacting their employees. Not only are they having to get a catalytic converter replaced, but it's taking that vehicle out of service. So we're working with law enforcement. We're working with Representative Ryan Wilcox. There's a bill that's in process. We've been negotiating with metal recyclers. I think we have a good product coming forward. It's in the Law Enforcement Criminal Justice Interim Committee. It will be a committee bill, and we're excited about where that's at and what we're going to see in the early days of the legislative session.
So if you're someone who, and I've actually met someone not too long ago who had had their catalytic converter stolen, if you're someone who has had that same situation, you can at least take some comfort knowing there are things being done to combat this issue.
There are definitely being done, and I will say, we have one of our members that is a national company, $1.6 million impact for that company, one company, just because of catalytic converter theft.
Wild. How do we catch up with you to see everything else you're doing with Chamberwest?
Visit our website, chamberwest.com.
And of course, we have a link to that on our website, abc4.com/GMU. As always, a pleasure. Barbara, thanks for being here this morning. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you, and you too. We'll look forward to seeing you in 2022.